This is Coach Lee, and you're listening to The Door Report.
Welcome back into The Door Report, and welcome into episode 326 on a lovely, but again, very hot Tuesday evening, July 29th, 2025. I am Will Byram, joined as always by my co-host, Trevor Hewlin, aka Hack Squad, Jim Duggan. Here at The Door Report, we are presented by 615 Collectibles. If you're into sports cards or sports memorabilia, check out 615 Collectibles on eBay. Items include NFL team packs, graded cards, individual cards, and more. Shipping is always fast and free. Trevor, today on episode 326, we have a very popular series that is coming back for a part 5, I believe. And that is Talking with TDR. You, and I'm giving all the credit to you, we have moved on up in the world. We're no longer just utilizing Twitter DMs for Talking with TDR. Trevor set up a Google voicemail inbox, and we had people actually call in, leave us voicemails that we have not listened to.
No.
So whatever is said, we did not pre-screen these, so it's not on us. I'm really hoping I don't have to do an editing job after this.
Oh, dear God. Yeah, please. I hope we don't have to do an editing job.
We'll see. We never know what we're going to get from our listeners, but I am very excited to hear what they had to say with fall camp beginning tomorrow.
Or today, as you're listening.
We will get into the credential situation for the Door Report in segment 1. Trevor Hewlin has been in communication with the comms department, has been in communication with contacts we have within the football program. We will get into an update for all the listeners out there about that. We are doing everything we possibly can to be in attendance for fall camp. We want to give especially premium member subscribers access to inside information, daily reports from camp when we can. It's outside of our hands at this point, and we're going to hit on that a bit in segment 1, but a majority of this episode is going to be laying out the content, an episode guide that we will have over the next month in August, and then we will get to Talking with TDR, and that's going to be about 90% of the episode, so it should be a party as always. I think we have 8 or 9 voicemails, something in there, maybe 7 or 8, and then we also have some responses from the premium board members as well that did not want their voice featured on the Door Report. So Trevor, I was going to ask vibe check, but I don't think we want to do a vibe check right now with what we were discussing right before the episode.
We're a little disheartened right now. Hopefully, whenever we check our email during the cocktail break, or whenever we do take a break, or once this episode is done, our spirits will be uplifted, hopefully. But yeah.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
I hate to be vague, but
I don't want to be vague.
Yeah.
But we kind of have to be right now, and we will provide updates as we get them. But we have a locked and loaded episode 326 here. I do want to hit on early here. I did join SEC Unfiltered with Chris Phillips to do a Vanderbilt football season preview. That was just posted as of about an hour ago on YouTube and across all platforms. So go to SEC Unfiltered and give that a watch, give that a listen. I think I did an okay job. Afterwards, all I could think to myself was, you fucking idiot. You forgot to mention Sterling Porcher. And then I remembered that most people have never heard of Sterling Porcher, and nobody's going to think I don't know ball because I forgot to mention Sterling Porcher. So Sterling, I want to apologize to you early in the intro of episode 326. But before we get into all that and much more in segment 1, we are now a part of the On3 Publisher Network. Visit thedoorreport.com today and subscribe to a monthly or annual membership and support TDR and get access to premium content, as well as access to our premium member message board behind closed doors. Also, don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Door Report. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our podcast is available on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and Google Podcasts. And while you're at it, give our podcast 5 stars and a review on iTunes or Spotify. It's now time for segment 1.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Welcome back into segment 1 of episode 326 of the Door Report after an extended break between the intro and segment 1.
How long was that break, do you think, in real time?
30 to 45 minutes, probably.
I think maybe more. It's 6:45 right now. It might have been close to an hour.
So an update we need to provide live. I know people will be hearing about this tomorrow on the actual podcast, but me and Trevor will be in attendance at fall camp tomorrow. It is official. We will be in attendance. We want to thank the Vanderbilt administration for granting us this access. We will live up to 100% the professional standards, everything associated with that, and we look forward to building trust in the future.
Absolutely.
So we are thrilled. We are excited for our premium subscribers to get a real inside look and inside coverage at Vanderbilt sports. And we are thrilled to truly get our first opportunity to show Vanderbilt that we are serious professionals, serious media members, a serious media outlet, and show them that we came to play the game. So just want to say all the questions, a little bit of question marks we had in the intro. We just got off a phone call. We will be in attendance tomorrow, me and Trevor both.
Yeah. And so to our subscribers, we know that there's been a lot in the air. We want to first off thank you guys as well. You guys, first and foremost, deserve the best coverage that money can buy. We thank you guys for riding with us. We thank you guys for supporting us. And first of all, to our subscribers, to the TDR universe, we will not let you down. You have our word. We will not let you down.
Yeah, that's all we can really say about it at this point. But yes, me and Trevor will be able to attend fall camp, at least a few sessions of fall camp. So we are very excited about that. Getting into actual episode 326, because it is Talking with TDR Part 5. But before we get into the incredible voicemails that we got, there are a few pieces of news or pieces of information that I want to get to here.
You need some acetaminophen like me?
I'm good with no Tylenol right now.
Okay. Well, I just popped some.
But just the timeline in general and the schedule for TDR over the month of August. I wanted to hit on that. So I personally already wrote the quarterback preview. We are going to be doing a full position by position roster preview for the 2025 Vanderbilt football season. That will be fully available to premium Door Report subscribers. So go to thedoorreport.com today, subscribe to a premium or annual membership, and we will be doing a detailed, in-depth breakdown of each position. I already wrote quarterback because everybody knows it's kind of what's going on with that one.
Pretty easy.
Yeah. The others will begin being released on August 1st. Running back will be next. I will probably run through most of the positions, but I think Trevor will handle the offensive line.
I'll handle a lot of the defense if you want. We're fleshing this out live on pod. I'll handle the defense if you want as well. So
yeah, we'll get all that figured out, but the position by position breakdowns will be being released throughout August. Also, just an update on the timeline for the Door Report podcast. On August 5th, next episode, we will be doing a full offensive preview. On August 12th, we will be doing a full defensive preview. And on August 19th, we will be doing a full schedule preview, as well as me and Trevor's season predictions. And then on August 26th, of course, that will be the Charleston Southern preview. We will have a real football game to preview, and then everybody that's listened to the Door Report knows exactly what the timeline will be after that, with recaps, previews, everything associated.
Do you want to? And then again, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't bring this up because we haven't really discussed it other than like hinting at it. Do we want to let the people know that we might be, come football season, moving to 2 episodes a week? Have we maybe?
We are going to see. Right now, the initial plan, assuming the season doesn't fall to ruin, the initial plan is to do separate preview and separate recap episodes. Because frankly, every single episode that we are going to release, if we combine the recap and combine the preview, is going to be 2 to 3 hours. And that's a lot.
Yeah.
So we're going to see if the time works out. Some weeks we might just be doing 1 episode. Some weeks we'll have multiple episodes. We will keep you guys updated on our plans regarding that. But we still have about a month to figure that out.
And it's crazy. Whenever you guys will be listening to this, it'll be a month away from kickoff on the West End.
a month away. There is one more piece of news I want to hit on before we get into talking with TDR. The Shrine Bowl watch list was released, and 13 Vanderbilt Commodores are on that 1,000 player watch list. I will list off those players now. Running back Cedric Alexander, edge Miles Capers, safety Randon Fontenette, lineman Bryce Henderson, cornerback Martell Height, linebacker Brian Longwell, defensive tackle Isa Wataha, quarterback Diego Pavia, offensive lineman Sterling Porcher, tight end Eli Stowers, defensive lineman Corday Sidnor, offensive lineman Jordan White, and defensive lineman Linus Zunk. So 13 guys named to that watch list. Also, quarterback Diego Pavia was named to the Maxwell Award watch list, given to the best college football player in the country, a very prestigious award. Great to see Diego Pavia on that watch list.
Is the Maxwell player or is it quarterback?
Maxwell is player.
Is it player? Okay,
So
I always get that confused.
No, so last year,
Davey O'Brien's the quarterback.
Yeah, last year Ashton Genty won the Maxwell.
You're right.
So oftentimes, or it has in the past, it has been the Maxwell has been given to the Heisman winner and the Maxwell. Sometimes it's different players. It just depends on the year.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams, for example, was both.
Mhm.
So that is it outside of talking with TDR. I think it's time to get to listener voicemails, which is a new feature. We're going to see how this goes. Hopefully the audio comes through clearly, but we got some incredible responses from our listeners.
While you do that, I'm going to clean the camera because while we were on our extended break, it looks like it got a little fuzzy.
All right, so I'm pulling up the voicemails now as Trevor cleans the camera, and I'm about to play. I'm just going to do them in order. There's one that's split into two parts here because apparently one caller decided to go over the time length of the inbox, but we're going to start with voicemail 1. It's time for Talking with TDR, part 5, baby.
What's up, boys? This is Braxton, the official representative of the North Texas Mean Green and the TDR Dynasty. Praise be to the sports overlords above for finally blessing us with football season being right around the corner. Just want to toss out a quick idea and something to have in the pocket as a filler segment, maybe moving forward. Could we do a little Vandy Fan of the Week segment? Just a quick shout out to someone that the listeners submit to the DMs, TDR number, or wherever else. Thought it'd be a cool way for Vandy fans to show some love to some of the Go Vandy fans amongst us. If this is something y'all want to do moving forward, I'd love to give a quick shout out to the Carr family. Tanner, Nick, Greg, and Julie Carr. Tanner's one of my good friends from UTC, but him and his family are some of the best Vandy fans in the game. They're always out there tailgating and in the stands on Saturdays, never turn down a guest, even if they show up in the wrong colors. I think just a great representation of what it means to be a Vanderbilt fan. So shout out to the Carr family. Anchor down, Joey.
Anchor down. Thank you, Braxton. Fan of the week. That intrigues me. How would we go about the polling and the nominees?
So we would
from a
have
logistical standpoint.
We would have to do clearly. Me and you would have to be the final decider. It could not be a poll of popularity of some kind.
Yeah,
I think it would have to be mainly focused on premium subscribers and those that are responding with the most intelligent comments and questions throughout the week. But also there would be a combination and throwing in of Twitter followers and people that just interact with us across all social media. So I like that idea.
That's a great idea.
That is a great idea, having a fan of the week. I've never even thought about that.
Have you also, speaking of fan of the week, I know that the Tennessee Titans are doing a fan of the year award. And the only reason I know this is because I found the Twitter account of a gentleman who was trying to win Tennessee Titans fan of the year and got a Cam Ward tattoo
Mitch Firkins
with the emojis on it. Also, his tattoo journey is something interesting. You would think the Cam Ward tattoo is the worst one. It's not. He has the Nissan Stadium logo tattooed on his arm. The Nissan Stadium logo on his arm.
So Trevor is a Philadelphia Eagles fan.
Go Birds.
So just have to throw that out. I'm a Tennessee Titans fan, so I know exactly who he's referencing.
That guy's electric.
His name is Mitch. He has a few screws loose, and we love that here at TDR when you find somebody with a few screws loose.
We can appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be named Tennessee Titans Fan of the Year, but by God, there's nobody more committed to the Tennessee Titans than that man. I will say that. If you've never seen him on Twitter, look him up. It's incredible.
His Twitter's awesome.
The Cam Ward tattoo he got is insane. The dichotomy of TDR strikes again. I am untattooed. I have 0 tattoos on my body. I plan on never having any tattoos on my body. I will say I did pierce my own ear in college, so I'm not completely against any of it. But I'm not a tattoo man. The idea of getting a Cam Ward tattoo before he's even played a snap as a Tennessee Titan is crazy.
Screams bad juju, no? Screams bad juju.
So I'm a Cam Ward believer now, but you kind of have to be if you're a Tennessee Titans fan. I was never a full Will Levis believer. I was a believer that he was good value to get as a quarterback draft pick in the 2nd round. But I was never a full Will Levis believer. Honestly, when they drafted him, I was a big proponent of there's going to be no franchise quarterbacks in this draft. Now I've seen a few clips of Cam Ward throwing some balls during training camp, and by God, I'm all in. Tennessee Titans Super Bowl upcoming soon.
As a Philadelphia Eagles fan, all I can say is imagine not having a franchise quarterback. Imagine not having a Super Bowl winning quarterback on your team.
Well,
for me personally, I cannot relate.
There are a lot of quarterbacks that I think could do well in that Philadelphia Eagles offense. Let's be honest. Y'all have an incredible offensive line, incredible receiving corps, a lot due to the Tennessee Titans
This is so
stupidity.
much misinformation. Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback in the
Not
NFL.
true.
He's a top 5 quarterback.
Not true.
He's top 5.
I'll give him top 10, top 12, but top 5, no.
Jalen Hurts or Joe Burrow.
So that's a tough one for me because
It's Jalen.
No, but I'm not the biggest Joe Burrow supporter or believe. I think he makes some incredible plays, but he also makes some plays that make you scratch your head. And my big thing with NFL quarterbacks is the guy that succeeds, and Patrick Mahomes might be the lone non-example of this.
The outlier?
Yeah, the outlier. Thank you for that word.
Stats, man.
Yes, sir. I think the best NFL quarterbacks are the guys like, and the best example is Tom Brady. The guys that hit the boring underneath throw over and over and over. And it's like, this guy just never makes the mistake that destroys his team. I don't know if Joe Burrow is that guy. Jalen Hurts, through whatever, I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback. I think, but I also don't agree with some of that full hate he gets either. I'm playing the middle ground.
We can agree with that. I'll agree with you. Because people saying he's not top 10 is legitimately ridiculous.
I think Jalen Hurts, and this is not an insult. People take this as an insult. This is not an insult. Jalen Hurts is one of the best game managers I've ever seen.
Yeah, I never understood the game manager as an insult.
I don't.
Game managers win championships.
Yeah, I don't. When you have, and the Eagles have an incredible roster, but when you have an incredible roster, it takes a special person at quarterback to fully accept I'm not necessarily the center point or star. And obviously the quarterback's always kind of the star, but I'm not necessarily the full reason this team wins, and just does his job. And that's what Jalen Hurts does. So I'm not in agreement on top 5.
No, I think I actually do agree with that. I'll also say this, and then we can get to the next caller. This isn't a hot take. Jalen Hurts is better than Lamar Jackson.
No. And I'm not a Lamar Jackson guy, but no.
Rings don't lie.
A ring, man.
It should be 2. It should be 2 if the NFL didn't rig that game for the Chiefs.
I'm truly not this guy. I'm not this guy. But a ring is a team accomplishment. And I think if you put Lamar Jackson on that Eagles roster, they also win the championship.
Just have a good of an arm as Jalen.
But I've also been the guy that's constantly said Lamar Jackson is never going to win a championship because he always makes the detrimental mistake that ruins you in the playoffs, that you can't make that mistake. So at the same time, Lamar Jackson, I think, is a better, more talented quarterback, but he's a worse game manager than Jalen Hurts. And oftentimes a game manager is what wins you games.
Tell me if I need to shut up and we need to go to the next one. But my last question, do you think wins are a quarterback stat? I do. People are like, wins aren't a quarterback stat. I think you're dumb. I think they are a quintessential, and football is the most team sport there is, but I 110% think yes, wins are a quarterback stat.
As I'm getting a phone call, that is a tough one to answer. I think partially. Like, I know that's a cop-out answer. I think they are less weighted than other things because you've had some incredible quarterbacks that have just always been on horrendous teams. And you never really got to see what they were. This is an example. It is not an example of a guy that I think was ever going to be a top 5 quarterback or something necessarily. But let's use a Vanderbilt Commodore as an example. Jay Cutler. He was on the Denver Broncos and the Chicago Bears. And if you watched a lot of Jay Cutler's career, which I did, he had wide receiver talent. But every single stop of his NFL career, every season, his offensive line was horrific.
Horrifically bad.
Absolutely horrendous, like bottom 5 in the NFL. So you never really got to see what Jay Cutler was. Even his interceptions were inflated because he was under an insane amount of pressure. So partially, yes, this is a cop-out answer. Partially, yes. In the same way that basketball championships are partially a team accomplishment, but there's nuance to that. There's a lot of nuance to it. So, yes, it does add into the favorable side of Jalen Hurts 100% the wins. But you also have to contribute. The Eagles have probably had the best offensive line in the NFL, probably the best or one of the best receiving corps, an incredible defense. You got to add that in as well. And they also had Saquon Barkley last season, the best running back in the NFL.
Don't forget my boy, Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, also Goddard. Always end up drafting him in fantasy and always bet on him. And it works out a lot of the time.
I'm always bet on him.
Let's get to voicemail number 2 after an incredible voicemail number 1. We need to think of fan of the week or fan of the month or something along those lines.
Great first call, Braxton.
Great first call. Was it Braxton or Jackson?
I think Braxton.
What's up, boys? This is Braxton, the official representative of the North.
Yep, you're
Braxton.
right. It's Braxton. Braxton. Thank you for that call, Braxton. On to voicemail number 2. Let's see what we got.
Hey, y'all. This is Octavio, or yet another door lawyer on the message board. I figured I'd give a call. I was trying to think about what I wanted to talk about, and I think I was thinking about baseball because obviously that's more set at this point. And curious to hear y'all's thoughts. I know that I've seen some people who are more discouraged about the roster. I'm feeling rather hopeful for next season. Don't think we'll get to Omaha. I do, however, think I'm pretty high on the talent that we have returning. I think that we were likely a year early with the talent that we had this year. And so the fact that we played well enough to get the number 1 overall seed was rather impressive. And, I think that it is setting us up well for the future. However, obviously this year, recruiting, especially the high school class, is worst case scenario with draft. And so I'm curious to hear y'all's thoughts on what your initial expectations at least are for next season. I think that, we're set up well for next year. The bigger question is going to be next year's recruiting class. Do you think we should be hopeful for next year's recruiting class? Did quotes do enough even in the transfer portal? I know that was a big area of concern. I had shared that concern. Did Corps do enough in the transfer portal to convince you that next year, where we really will have some roster turnover, that he will be successful in the portal? Or are we looking for yet another round of disappointment? Let's hear y'all's thoughts. Thanks so much for what you do. Take care.
Fascinating question. I want to start out by saying he brought up a really good point. It's something that I actually agree with. I think that Vanderbilt has a really good crop of talent. Last year was just a year too early. I think that's a really, really good way to look at it. I think with Rustin, I think with Brody, I think particularly those two dudes are going to be the middle of your infield next year. I think can take a huge step forward. I'm fascinated to see Brody Johnston, the shortstop position. Even if his defense is not going to be as good as Jonathan Bastine, but that's okay. If he can just up those power numbers, that's what matters in my opinion. I think next year, and this is coming from somebody who is actually pretty critical of Vanderbilt baseball and the roster construction this year. I think that Vanderbilt baseball will be improved next year. I think they will have a better team next year. Now, I think the offense is actually going to be fine. And I think I think fans are actually going to be pleasantly surprised with the offensive production. However, I think it's going to flip-flop, and the question marks are going to be in terms of starting pitching. I have been on record to say I am an Austin Nye truther. I think he has, if he can continue to develop, I think that he has like elite SEC stuff, Major League Baseball stuff. I'm very big on Austin Nye and Connor Fennell. I think those guys can take a step forward, but also then there's still some gaps in your weekend rotation. What do you do with your midday? What do you do with your bullpen? I think the bullpen should still be pretty strong. Overall, with what Tim Corbin and staff have done with this portal, I also think too with the acquisition of Jason Esposito as the hitting coach, I am not optimistic, but I'll go cautiously optimistic. I think that Vanderbilt baseball could take a legit step forward next year and hopefully make a super.
You hit the nail on the head. I was going to say cautiously optimistic, and I think the expectation next year is making a super regional. I don't think the expectation is necessarily making it to Omaha. Obviously, as a Vanderbilt baseball fan or Vanderbilt baseball supporter, making it to Omaha is the expectation going into every single season. But it has been a while since Vanderbilt has made an appearance in a super regional, and that's the first stepping stone you need to hit this upcoming year. The rest of that question was, has Tim Corbin and the staff shown you enough this offseason of the transfer portal to make you more optimistic? I'm not going to get into high school recruiting. I think it's way too early to tell. And obviously the MLB draft and where guys ended up signing did not go well for the Vandy boys at all. Losing Slater DeBrune,
which we didn't even speak about last week,
was a big loss. So the high school stuff I can't even talk about. I will say partially, not fully. Clearly the staff has acknowledged that they need to pick up hitters out of the transfer portal. They got the OVC player of the year in Mac Whitcomb that I think will probably be the DH this upcoming season, if I had to guess. And then they brought in the Johnstone brothers, who I think are going to be pretty electric additions to this offense. But like you said, I'm not sure that they've addressed that pitching rotation quite enough. And I'm not fully negative on the pitching staff. I would just continue to use the same term you just used. Cautiously optimistic. I know they had the #1 overall seed last year, so saying they're going to be better sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we all watched this Vanderbilt team all season. They were the #1 overall seed, but I'm not so sure they were the best team in the country. I don't think anybody would necessarily make that argument. They got hot at the right time.
That's a really good way to put it.
And shout out to them getting hot at the right time. But this team had flaws throughout the entirety of last season, and those flaws came to the forefront during the regional. So I am more optimistic about this season than I was last season. And I do really, really like what they have done as far as the offensive side of things go this offseason in the transfer portal. Now, the pitching, that's the premium position. And they haven't really accomplished anything in that aspect besides one reliever from Georgia. So a lot of questions on the pitching staff, but I'm cautiously optimistic.
I think, too, I know they haven't made any real splash acquisition in terms of pitching. I will say, though, I am not a fan of how he utilizes pitchers in game. I will say, though, whenever it comes to eyeing talent, recruiting talent, and developing talent, there is no one better in the game than Scott Brown. And even though I don't agree with a lot of his in-game decisions, as long as Scott Brown is on this Vanderbilt staff, Vanderbilt will continue to have elite pitching. That's something I just knocked over the acetaminophen. That's something that I'm willing to bank on year after year after year.
People also, as you brought up acetaminophen again, people really liked my dumb explanation of the difference between ibuprofen and Tylenol. I got multiple texts and comments about that. So just had to point that out.
Dude,
people like the dumbness of TDR occasionally.
People are like, man, these guys are dumb. But then they're also like, man, these guys are kind of intelligent.
Occasionally. We have
these
flashes.
guys are kind of smart.
In the same number of flashes of stupidity we also have flashes of brilliance. The greatest minds of our generation talking right now. All right, let's get to voicemail number 3. Thank you for the call, by the way.
Hey, guys, what's up? Justin Kempin ain't easy.
How are you?
Checking in with y'all, man. Hope everybody's having a great summer, even though it's hot as shit out here for us to work out in it. And you got Trevor wanting all black the first, game. That's all puke like J-Matt back in the day. But anywho, I got a question, and then I'll give you my answer after. So my question is, what's the funniest thing you've ever seen while attending a Vanderbilt game. Like, fan interaction, just whatever made you die out laughing the most. We've all been going our whole lives. We got a lot of stories. So here's mine real quick. Vanderbilt versus Kentucky basketball. Don't remember the year, but basically Kentucky controls the whole game. We don't win. It's getting down to the last couple of minutes, and people hitting the exits. Kentucky fans waving by. Cool, fine. Well, a guy to my dad's left. He said something to my dad, and then he's like standing up, kind of like making way for us to get by the aisle if we need to. And my dad's like, "We're not leaving." And then he says something to the effect of like, "You're dumb, you're stupid, you're not going to win, yada, yada, yada." Well, my dad immediately goes, "Fuck you, we're not leaving." And the guy, all 5'10" of him, just like bows up to my 6'4" dad, like, and quote says, "I'll have you know, sir, I'm a lawyer." And without missing a beat, my dad goes, "Well, I'm an asshole." And he's just like, "Whoa!" And everybody around is just like dying out laughing at this guy. Like, dude, you thought you were gonna do something all whatever, but anyway, they ended up leaving. I've been there two later, which is kind of funny. But anyway, that's become a running joke. It's just like, "Well, I'm an asshole," or "I'm an asshole too, Steve." So that was a funny story. But just like to hear y'all's, and just looking forward to seeing everybody at the first game. And that's all I got, man. So peace out, anchor down.
Dude, you want to talk about a dude in real, not only online, but in real life, who is one of the best, most kind-hearted dudes you could ever meet in your life. It would be Justin Kemp.
Yeah.
Now that's also an electric story. Also, I'll say this, Justin, you didn't say go Cowboys, so I'll say this, go Birds. The funniest story, do you have one off the top of your head?
I don't mind. I've told it before on this podcast, but it's directly me that's involved in it. It's Mississippi Valley State Delta, or whatever that university is called, and their head coach, Lindsey Hunter, at the time. And I was sitting directly behind their bench in the front row next to my dad. And Vanderbilt was beating the crap out of him. I don't remember what year it was, but basically the team was like ignoring the coach. And Lindsey Hunter, who's a former NBA player, was just dogging every single player on the bench. And I basically started saying, "Why don't you draw up better plays for him?" And all the players could hear me, started to chuckle. And then he was using a whiteboard drawing up plays. And I was like, "Not going to work. Not going to work. You need to have him roll off that screen." And just yelling. I wasn't using any curse words. I wasn't saying anything. But I was just criticizing his X's and O's that he was preaching on the bench. And I started winning over his bench and his players. And they started laughing. And in fact, their starting point guard still follows me on Instagram. I can't remember his name. But eventually, because I wasn't saying anything that was horrible or cursing at him or just yelling at him, and his team was like giggling during timeouts at me, he lost it and started directly yelling at me. And I was just like, "I'm just telling you to draw up better plays. Your players are fine. You're just bad at coaching." And he lost it and was directly during a full timeout. It got no attention because the gym was like 70% empty, because it was an early preseason game and Vanderbilt was up like 30. He was directly arguing with me about the offense he was running. And it had the people in the section around me. At first, my dad was horrified, and then it had my dad cackling in laughter as he realized, "Oh, my son's not going to say anything out of pocket. He's got this coach absolutely frazzled. I could not focus on the game because I'd won over his team over him." So that's not really the funniest story, but that's the funniest story that comes to the top of my head.
So my story, I've also told this one. It's funny in hindsight, but in the moment, it was terrifying. And it was during the 2023 Vanderbilt baseball regional. We were hosting a tailgate, or 2022. One of those years, we were hosting a tailgate. We're all like getting ready for the baseball game, having fun. Well, football players are over at the facility practicing, and practice just got out.
Oh, shit.
You remember?
I remember this. I remember
In the moment, it was
I wish
not
I would have
funny.
remembered this.
In the moment, it was not funny. Hindsight is funny. And so like some of the players see us, and so we see CJ Taylor. And we're like, "Yo, CJ, come over." And CJ like acknowledges. He starts walking over. He's walking through Natchez Trace. And there's a like a tour bus,
a charter bus
that's stopped in the middle of the road. So CJ's walking behind the charter bus Well, there's like an SUV that is going 100 miles down Natchez Trace that does not see CJ is about to walk from behind this bus. And they like come out at the same time. And this van almost obliterates CJ Taylor. And he just like stops. And we all saw it about that. We were, CJ, stop! CJ, stop! And he didn't see it. And he barely missed it. And it looked like it happened in slow-mo. And I just remember like slow-mo, just putting my hands on my head like, and it was all because Scott Derrick waved CJ Taylor over and almost got our star safety killed.
Yeah, that we were almost a headline on ESPN of star safety CJ Taylor hit by car outside Vanderbilt football practice field, and it was almost all our fault. So it was very
Scott Derrick's fault.
What is the saying is like tragedy plus time equals comedy. That's
I've never heard
what
that,
it
but
there.
it checks out.
Yeah, that's what that was.
Yeah.
At the time.
At the time, I was like, "Oh my god!"
Mortified.
I was embarrassed. I was thankful that he was okay. Hindsight, since he was safe, we're like, man, he actually went on a podcast and brought it up. It was like, yeah, so I went over there tailgate, almost got hit by a truck.
That was 2022 or 2023.
I think it was 2022.
Yeah, 2022, because CJ was like the only returning star it felt like they had on that roster. And it was like we almost just destroyed the Vanderbilt football season in front of our eyes.
Yeah.
Like I was like, no, CJ can take my body. I'll get hit by the car. Just keep CJ healthy.
If something happened to his knee, we would have all ran over to VUMC and been like, hey, just whoever's knee's the best, take it.
Yep.
Whoever's knee's
Take
the
my
best,
ACL, take my meniscus, which is already torn, so you probably don't want that. Take my LCL, take my MCL, take my Achilles, whatever you need. Fix this, man.
Yep.
All right. Last voicemail we're going to get to before the TDR cocktail break. Then we will go to the cocktail break and we will play the rest of the voicemails we have for talking with TDR. But next up, we have voicemail number 4, which I'm expecting to be pretty long as it is split into 2 parts here.
Trevor, it's your ray of sunshine, Mark McNulty. Hey, guys, I'll tell you what. I've been a Vanderbilt football fan since 1982, and I've never been more excited about a football season than I am this season. My goodness, we've got it all now. Javi is back. We've got the best tight end in football. I mean, Eli Stowers. And then you got Seti back there at running back. I mean, let me tell you something. Newberry, and we got a couple other new guys. Wide receiver could be a question, but you've got Junior Sherrill, who I think will make a big step up. And, of course, Martell Height. I'm telling you what, guys, he could open up the field for Stowers. The guy's a game breaker, and I'm looking forward. I don't want to lose to the cornerback, but I'd love to see him on a handful of plays during the game. Really excited. But I do think the offensive line is going to be better. I really do. I think we've upgraded there. But I'll tell you what I'm most excited about is defense. My goodness, our defense is going to be, I think, quite a bit better than we were last year. And look at that defensive line. You've got some monsters there. You've got Jalen Wood, you got Sidnor. You got Capers, and of course that linebacker group. Oh my goodness, what a great Langston Patterson. You've got Rinaldi. My goodness, Longwell. I think that's probably one of the strongest positions on the team is linebacker. And then of course in the defensive backfield, as I mentioned, Martell Height. He's a lockdown. You've got Fontenette, and you've got some other good guys back there too. So I feel really good about the defense. Special teams, kickers, we're going to kick ass there. Punter and kicker, we're set. And, of course, Martell Height returning punts. He's good for 1 or 2 to the house. I have no doubt about that. I'll tell you what, guys. I think we'll take care of business against Charleston Southern, obviously, on August 30th. I'll tell you, that game at Virginia Tech is going to be huge. If we can go in there and take them down with their big crowd and noise and all that stuff, tell you what, sky's the limit after that. Now, we have to play South Carolina right after that, so I'm not real excited about that. But I'll tell you, we've got some winnable home games. Look at this. We got Missouri, Kentucky, and of course Auburn, and Javi, as we know, owns Auburn. LSU is going to be a little tough, but you know what? We went up there last year and we didn't get blown out, so who knows?
When Bobby is around, anything is possible. So it's, I tell you, I feel really good. And this is just for you, George Barclay. I think we're going to kick Tennessee's ass. They don't have a quarterback. Can't wait for that game.
All right, so that was part one. Mark got timed out there. So this is part two of his original voicemail.
Well, you cut me off. So in continuation, can't wait to be with my buddies in Section F, the Junkyard, baby. Junkyard, we're going to be loud and proud, my son and I. And I pity the fool who stands behind us because they're going to be standing most of the game. And, of course, I cannot leave out the Lot 2 tailgates. They are going to be epic this year. I cannot wait to see all my buddies. It's going to be a blast, guys. I cannot wait for football. This could be a big one. It really could. Go, George, baby! And in the immortal words of George Plaster, I hate to do this, but I got to run.
What a call.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see Mark McNulty in the flesh once again. I miss that guy so much. Wonderful call by my eternal ray of sunshine, Mark McNulty. I'll say, too, a player that he dropped on that call that I don't feel like we've talked about a lot, and somebody that I'm actually fascinated to really look and see how their game has progressed this fall camp is Nick Rinaldi. We talk about Langston Patterson. We talk about Brian Long. We talk about what's Bryce Cowan going to be. Well, Nick Rinaldi is your third down linebacker because he really is the best linebacker in coverage that Vanderbilt has by all metrics. Is he going to take a step forward, and can he maybe add something to his game in terms of like run stopping ability? I think if that's a possibility, which I think it is, I think Nick Rinaldi could be another guy that just pops off this season that we're not really talking about. But I think, too, credit to Vanderbilt, credit to Nick Lazinski, credit to Clark Lee and the recruiting staff. I mean, this linebacker room is just so loaded. Like, you could really, you can even go down to somebody like Prince Colley and be like, didn't see the field a ton, mainly just special teams, but it's like somebody that, like, the physical tools, like, you're like, he's got it. Like, that group is deep. That group is super deep.
Mark is truly my eternal ray of sunshine. I am eternally pessimistic, and every time that I see Mark, my face just lights up. I cannot wait to be in Lot 2 and in Section F, like he said with everybody. He also did bring up the Virginia Tech game in week 2. I was on SEC Unfiltered with Chris Phillips yesterday, and I brought that game up as well. That is the game of the year for this Vanderbilt team. You're traveling on the road against Virginia Tech. Enter Sandman's going to be playing. If Vanderbilt can pull off that victory, that makes the South Carolina game completely house money. Because after that, you have 2 more non-conference teams, and then you have the Alabama game. So likely, even if you lose to South Carolina, which the gods have cursed Vanderbilt, and they may never beat South Carolina again in my entire life, even if you lose that game, Vanderbilt's going to be 4-1 going into that Alabama game. And that's the expectation. So that Virginia Tech game is going to make or break the season. I know it's not a conference game, and it's not going to fully destroy all hope if they go and lose. But that game is going to be an inflection point for the rest of the season. It's going to truly change how Vanderbilt is viewed if they're able to start the season 2-0. Go into that South Carolina game. There is going to be a ton of national hype if Vanderbilt is 2-0 with Vanderbilt and Diego Pavia facing South Carolina and Lenora Sellers. That's going to be maybe, I don't know what other games are in week 3, but that might be the game of the week as far as college football goes. So yeah, I loved Mark bringing up that Virginia Tech game. That's going to be a tough environment to play in. But damn if they can get it done. And I think Vanderbilt does have the talent and experience to get it done. But what Mark brought up, man, it's just got me excited for Lot 2. It's got me excited to see everybody again. And it reminds me why we do TDR. Is getting voicemails like that. Is, to quote Drake for like the 3rd episode in a row, we built this. This didn't exist before us. You should have seen Lot 2. There were a few tailgates going on. But we've built this a lot of thanks to Chef Miller helping us out, getting up the infrastructure and everything. But the community we have built in Lot 2 and Section F is incredible.
Dude, talk about Section F. Dude, what was Section F before we got there? Nothing. We've turned Section F into a loony bin.
So we cannot wait to see everybody out there. And the Lot 2 tailgates are going to be bigger and better than they ever were, just like they have been year over year. It started out with me and Jacob Scholl sitting there for about 6 hours alone. And now it's grown to where we have 30 to 50 people at minimum at each tailgate. And this season, I fully expect even more. So everybody out there, if you haven't gotten your season tickets, make sure that you get your season tickets to Vanderbilt football this season and come tailgate in Lot 2.
Most of them are sold out. I know all of them on the home side are sold out. Single game tickets did go on pre-sale and official sale this morning. And I believe those are selling out quickly as well.
Yeah.
Season tickets, if you want a pair of season tickets, I know there's still some available through Vanderbilt, but like, good luck.
Get them quick.
Yeah, there's not a lot left.
And even if you get single game tickets, come to Lot 2.
Yeah.
Come hang out. We've just got a new TV that's going to be exclusively dedicated to watching college football with a speaker going on that. So we're going to have a college football watching section, a music hanging out and drinking section. It's going to be a great time in Lot 2. So make sure to come join us. The more the merrier.
Yeah.
All are welcome. So we're going to have Chef Miller on the grill, and it's going to be an incredible time.
Except for opposing fans.
Except for opposing fans, of course.
Which is something that people have criticized. They're like, oh, who cares, man? Let them in. And I'm like, no, we should not stand for this. Somehow I'm the villain.
Fine. You want me to be the villain?
Dude,
I'll be the villain.
Do you remember that Hawaii game when Miller was like, dude, no, they're so nice? And I'm like, get them out of here.
I will say.
I'm like, make them leave.
In his defense, the Hawaii fans were pretty awesome.
They were very sweet. They were
love
very,
the Hawaii
very
fans.
kind.
I can deal a lot more and am fully okay with like maybe Utah State fans or Hawaii fans. Seeing those fans travel, they have a very different mindset than, let's say, LSU fans coming or Georgia fans. So, yeah, we love seeing the odd opposing fan bases come out. And we had a 75-year-old Hawaii fan doing a keg stand in Lot 2. So I had a good time with the Hawaii fans. But, yeah, we cannot wait for Lot 2. All right, we have a few more voicemails to go. But first, we are going to request that everyone goes out there and grabs yourself a cold beverage as we are about to go to the TDR cocktail break. Welcome back from the TDR cocktail break, and welcome back into episode 326. We are now continuing with Talking with TDR Part 5. Up next, we have more voicemails.
Hey guys, George Barclay here. I have a public service announcement for Tennessee Volunteers fans. Yes, I am talking about that backwater shithole out in Knoxville and all who love the University of Teabagging, where you can support the Vols NIL by getting a commemorative Peyton Manning ball sack stuck to a woman's face. It's the dog days of summer. I'm bored, and frankly, I just hate you sons of bitches. So I'm letting it rip, baby. First, why on earth do you people say go big orange? Orange is your color, not your mascot. And it's a mirror image of Go Big Blue, a chant of your rival Kentucky. You dipshits really want to copy them? How fucking stupid are you? Second, you being loud and loving your team doesn't make you special. That describes every good fan base ever, and you jackasses want a trophy for it every year. Third, what's with the shitty Confederate gray uniforms? Civil War's over, dipshits. Talk about an eyesore. Those are ugly as fuck. You could have picked anything else and it would have been better. And finally, all you keyboard warrior burners who've been spamming my Twitter account, better hope to God that the Vols win against Vandy this November. You better pray like hell to God, Yahweh, Jehovah, Allah, Buddha, Vishnu, Zeus, Thor, whatever deity it is, you better call in some favors. Because if Vandy wins, I'm going nuclear on your asses. Isaac bookmark every one of you fuckwads, and you will be in a torture chamber if the Doors win. I will destroy every single one of you. Fuck the Balls. Fuck General Nealon. Fuck Smokey. Fuck Peyton Manning. Fuck Josh Heupel. Fuck Rick Barnes. Fuck Tim Caldwell, and fuck Tony Vitello. Don't worry, I'm not going to say anything bad about Pat Summit. Unlike you people, I have a heart and some standards. Football season cannot come soon enough, boys. The Vanderbilt Revolution is now. Thanks for taking my call. Peace out, fellas.
George letting
My God.
air. Boom, 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 boom.
All right, so we're gonna get an explicit on this episode again. Turns out, just like every other episode for the past 100 episodes. All right. He said everything that needs to be said. I will add on because it was maybe lost in the shuffle there. I have a lot of friends that are Tennessee fans. A lot. The gray uniforms, the smoky grays, I think even the Tennessee fan base, and I've made this statement about every single gray uniform outside of if it's one of your primary team colors or if you're Oregon. That gimmick has been played out.
Yeah.
This annual release of the new smoky grays, I think even the Tennessee fan base is like, guys, why don't we just like wear our own uniforms or just have our alternate be the Halloween black uniforms that they wear? Why are we doing this anymore? The gray uniforms, it doesn't matter if you're Tennessee, if you're Vanderbilt, if you're Missouri, if you're Alabama doesn't change their uniforms, thank God. If you're Florida, the gray uniforms are not a good look. It's just, it is not about Tennessee. The gray just doesn't look good.
Yeah.
If it's not one of your primary colors, and there are very few programs that actually have gray as one of their primary or secondary colors. So, man, yeah, that's a good one you brought up. The gray, my God, guys, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah, I think to follow up on the Nico Iamaleava situation, I think he upgraded not only in schools but in uniforms. He went from probably the worst uniforms in all of college athletics to maybe, in my opinion, some of the best uniforms in all of college athletics and UCLA's. So good for him.
The Nico story is going to be interesting because I don't think UCLA is particularly good. I haven't done a ton of research into the rest of their roster. He's going to have a lot of SEC eyes on him, whether it's Tennessee fans, whether it's just SEC fans in general. People are going to be genuinely curious what Nico looks like outside of the Josh Heupel offense. Because the Josh Heupel offense is very unique, a lot of wide splits from the receivers. I'm going to be really curious what Nico looks like in a different offense. Not hate watching or hoping he succeeds just to screw over Tennessee. I'm genuinely
Fascinated
as a football fan what a former 5-star number 1 quarterback in the country who Tennessee fans have loved to shit on him, I thought was pretty good last year. He wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination, but was pretty good. I'm curious what he's going to look like with a different offense and a completely different scene around him against and honestly different competition at UCLA.
Well, not even really a different scene. It's his hometown. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, different scene than the Knoxville fan base around him.
A lot less pressure. I mean, and you're going from sold out crowds whenever you play Eastern Valley, Mississippi State, or the Delta to it's not even going to be full when USC comes to town. You know what I mean? Or whenever vice versa, you go to USC, it's not even going to be full.
Well, it'll just be, and I'm genuinely fascinated by it. But if he comes out and lights the world on fire, man,
huge regret.
It's going to be a huge indictment on Tennessee and allowing him to walk in whatever issues were within that program. And maybe we will learn more. And we haven't even talked about this a lot on that new Netflix documentary.
Which comes out this week, right?
Yeah, it comes out this week. I think August 5th. Is when it comes out.
Oh, that's not this week.
That's not this week. That's next week.
I thought it comes out this week.
Let me look that up. Keep talking.
I'm pretty positive it comes out like this week. Maybe like this Thursday or this Friday. I don't think it's next week. I could be wrong though. Do you have that date up yet?
I'm loading.
Okay, so I think it is this week. And so, of course, with it being Netflix, you'll be able to watch the entirety of it in one sitting as opposed to having to wait week after week, which I'm just going to talk. So I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant. I'm old school in my television in my television enjoyment. I like it
August 5th.
August 5th, dadgummit. Well, I was going to finish my thought. I like it whenever episodes come out on a weekly basis as opposed to just one fail swoop. I don't know. I like a weekly basis TV show.
It's kind of dying, but well, it was dying, but now I think it's coming back.
HBO and
Apple
Showtime
TV.
and Apple TV have sort of brought that sort.
There is some, and we are back after some brief technical difficulties. I think we were talking about. What were we talking about?
We were talking about whatever it's called whenever TV shows release on a weekly basis instead of just in a lump sum like Netflix does.
Yeah, whatever.
So nothing.
Nothing important.
We were talking about the SEC, the Inside the SEC
Drive
Netflix.
to Survive or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
All right. So we're going to continue with talking with TDR. We have a couple more calls and then some premium member questions. So next up, we have another voicemail. We're going to see if it matches the energy of the last one with a lot of F-bombs or if it's a little more clean. We're going to find out here, as I do not have the time to edit out F words. So apologies to younger listeners.
Comrades, I have a question for you boys. Is there any potential moment this year that tops beating Bama when they were number one last year? I'll hang up and listen.
That is such a tough question. I have a couple. I think for me personally, beating Tennessee and Knoxville would be up there. Beating Tennessee and Knoxville and making it to Atlanta. I think making it to Atlanta.
Yeah, that's as far as individual games or wins or anything. No, like honestly, for as far as season accomplishments, if they like made it to the SEC championship, made it to the CFP, something like that, yes. As far as individual games, I truly mean this. There will never be a game the rest of my entire life that will top that moment, ever. You can only beat number one in the country for the first time in program history once, and I was there. They carried the goalpost down the
That
Cumberland
is a good
River.
point.
It's nothing can ever top it. Something can possibly equal it. But as far as like an individual game or something, no. That's top. That's the mountaintop. As far as season accomplishments, yeah, like
Atlanta.
what you said, yeah, Atlanta or something. But no, individually regular season game, nothing will ever top that. At most, even match it. I don't think anything can match it. That's number one for my entire life. Attending sporting events, that is number one. Nothing will ever top it.
I mean, yeah, that's a great question, but it just I think that moment in time would be impossible to top for a lot of programs.
You know
what I mean?
I was sitting in the stands at the end. You saw it on TV, and the celebration erupted after on the field. But Vanderbilt fans were in the stands, like in shock, in not silence, but in shock, celebrating. Just did not have the words, weren't jumping up and down, screaming.
I sit down and started crying.
People were crying. It was truly something that you did not think was ever possible at Vanderbilt, being the upset and scene of all of college football. It's kind of like the first time a human being ran a sub 4-minute mile. It's like that was the greatest running performance of all time because no one knew that was possible. And so even anybody that breaks that, I mean, it can be better, maybe.
It was not the first.
It's not the first, and nothing will ever top it because it proved that it can happen at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt can do it. They were, 0-50 against top 5 teams all time?
Yep.
It was truly like a breaking of the glass ceiling for Vanderbilt that I think fans that have been fans their entire life had just given up on. That wasn't going to happen. We are still going to show up to games week in, week out. I will never miss a game, but you're just never going to beat number one. You're never going to rush the field and tear down the goalposts and carry them down Broadway and throw them into the Cumberland River. You're never going to be the talk of college football. That's just something you have to accept. And Vanderbilt ended all of that discussion and talking point. Truly, that game can't be topped for me.
I just remember whenever I knew Vanderbilt got the first down and they were about to win it. I didn't even start jumping up and down. I sat down and I started sobbing into my hands. I
just
started sobbing into my hands.
I had my arms up, and then I stood there with my hands on my head, and then I just stood there, hugged my dad, and just stood there with my hands on my head. Like, I don't know how to react to this until I was like, oh shit, we're rushing the field. Let's go rush the field. And then my brain clicked back on.
You go into like, you're in such an emotional state, and then you immediately flip to like a very primal state to where you're like, I'm running down these 100 flights of stairs. I don't know why I'm running. In your mind, it's just like, I have to get down there.
It was if you're a Vanderbilt fan and you weren't able to be there, I'm sorry. There's nothing will ever recreate that. It was truly. I'm not married. I don't have children. It was, even if I hopefully do get married, do have children, it's a top 5 moment in my entire life. And the number one sports fandom moment. Nothing will ever top. Ever. Getting to the last voicemail of Talking with TDR before we go to premium board questions. Let's hear what they got.
Good afternoon, comrades. Tanner here. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Honestly, I wasn't even planning on calling into this. It's not usually my style. But then some freaking dipshits at work started fucking just final straw. I had to come out. I'm sitting in my parking lot at work right now making this phone call. Talking about how we aren't going to sneak up on anyone this year. How we're going to suck this year. How we got lucky last year. Fuck that, dude. We were dogs last year. We're going to be absolute dogs this year. Tennessee has a quarterback who threw 14 or whatever it was interceptions last year, and the Sun Belt, whatever the hell App State is, they think he's going to come to a Power 4 SEC school and throw better? Yeah, fucking right. South Carolina has that dumbass Shane Beamer. Get him the fuck out of here. We're breaking that voodoo curse this year. Kentucky had one good year with Will Levis, and all of a sudden they're a football school. Joke. Auburn can't keep Hugh Freeze off the fucking golf course. I doubt he's even coaching that team anymore. I mean, Lord have mercy. And don't even get me started on that dumbass up in Missouri who lost Brady Cook, and now they're going to be dog shit this year. I mean, boys, now Alabama, Texas, good. But we can beat those fuckers. Beat Alabama last year, almost beat Texas last year. Why can't we beat them this year? We're a better team this year. Fuck that. I can't wait to go beat all their candy asses this year. The Revolution will be televised. The Revolution is being televised. And anchor the fuck down.
Turn on your TVs, ladies and gentlemen. The Revolution is currently being televised.
The Revolution is being televised. This hits on a good point. And
that got me jacked up.
This is a great way to close out the voicemail portion of Talking with TDR, and an incredible, once again, just an incredible.
Shout out to Tanner, first time call.
Electric.
Maybe call of the evening.
Electric
call.
This is one thing that Vanderbilt fans are experiencing for the first time, and I'm probably not going to put it into good words now. I haven't put it into good words ever. Every fan base, or not every, most fan bases in the SEC go into every season with this mentality of, this is our year. This is when things are going to turn around and we're going to make the run that nobody expects. And every fan base has that, for lack of a better term, dumb mentality every year. Because there's only going to really be 1 or 2 teams that truly make that run in that way. And there's only 2 teams that can play in the SEC championship. It is not unreasonable or crazy for Vanderbilt fans to feel that way. This is just the first time that has been reality. And Vanderbilt fans are experiencing pushback. Of course they are, because it's Vanderbilt. But as fans, you have every single right to be completely excited about this season. If people are shitting on you, fine. Whatever. You are excited about your football team. That doesn't mean it's necessarily going to happen this year or anything, but it's like, yeah, you should feel that way going into a football season. That's what being an SEC program is. You look at this roster. There's no reason to view things through a Vanderbilt lens. This roster has talent. This is a talented football team. Now you're in the SEC. You have the second strength of schedule in the country. It's a brutal schedule. So does that mean it's going to equate to Vanderbilt winning 9-10 games? We'll see in our season predictions. But you have every right to be excited. So hell yeah, I love hearing Vanderbilt fans fully excited about this season. That's fully deserved it. And by God, if there's one fan base that should be irrationally excited about a season, deserve it, it's the Vanderbilt Commodores fan base. It's overused, but there's a fan base that deserves a miracle run, and it's the Vanderbilt Commodores fan base.
I can't even add anything to that. That's exactly how I feel. That's exactly how Vanderbilt fans should feel. We'll see whenever we get to camp and we'll be able to report. But you look on paper right now, you look at the production of Vanderbilt's returning on both sides of the ball. You look and see what they did in the transfer portal. Look and see what they did in retaining their assistant coaches. It's hard not to be excited if you're a Vanderbilt fan. It's hard not to look at this team and look at this schedule. And I get it, it's the toughest schedule in the nation, but still, you got LSU coming here this year instead of having to go there. You have Missouri and Kentucky coming here instead of having to go there. It's not unreasonable for Vanderbilt fans to have high expectations, and I think they should have high expectations.
Exactly. So we're going to move to premium member questions. Thank you to everybody that gave us a voicemail call. We really do appreciate it. We will do Talking with TDR, I'm sure, at some point during the football season.
Yeah.
We'll have to decide when. As
maybe during
I'm
a bye
burping.
week. Bye week seems right. We'll have an acid reflux live
little
on
acid
pod.
reflux over here. I think I'm just really hungry. I've not eaten dinner. But let's get to the premium member questions. First up, we have Georgia Door says, I feel like I complain about attendance issues more than 99% of Vanderbilt fans, but I still think it's a major issue that the program faces. As the program develops and tries to get, quote, over the hump, unquote, so to speak, I think the attendance issues and the fact that our stadium is taken over, quote, every single week, unquote, during conference play will present a major issue with recruiting and bringing in talent to establish ourselves as a respectable mid-tier SEC program. My question is, what tactics, if any, do you believe that Vanderbilt should use not only to increase attendance, but to discourage masses of away fans from attending or descending on Nashville every weekend? Personally, I think that a combination of state/zip code restrictions on tickets, reducing the size of the away section, expanding the student section, and even implementing European-style restrictions on away fan seating, parentheses, disallowing away fans entirely in non-designated areas, would be an aggressive yet effective strategy to deter stadium takeovers.
So, in terms of the zip code restriction, I'm not for sure. I do remember, though, that after last season, that was heavily hinted at by the Vanderbilt administration. I don't know if they followed through with that. I know that a lot of people have suggested that as possibly a way to reduce the opposing fans coming to Vanderbilt Stadium. I think ultimately, and this sort of feels like a cop-out answer, but it's really not, and it's going to be the most effective answer, is Vanderbilt's just going to have to win. Vanderbilt's going to have to win football games. Truly, the death and taxes are the only for sures in life, and the only other for sures is that you win, they will come. Those are the three guarantees in life.
Yeah, there was another thread on the premium message board that was talking about attendance, and I said, you can talk about marketing, blah, 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 but you need to win more football games and the fan base will grow. The things Vanderbilt is facing right now are two things, and why the fan base is so small. The number one issue is Vanderbilt is a small private university that does not prioritize bringing in local students. So people that grew up Vanderbilt fans likely do not attend the university and then gain an allegiance for whatever university they ended up attending. That's the main issue. Other schools are graduating 10 to 20,000 new fans every single year that are going to be fans for the rest of their life. Vanderbilt is graduating a couple thousand, and most of them scatter throughout the United States and the rest of the world. So that's number one. Number two, let's be frank, Vanderbilt has sucked at football for 50 plus years. Casuals are not fans of teams that suck. So you need to win consistently, and that will not be a problem. The zip code thing is great, but just win, and you won't have that issue at all. The other side, to not give as much of a basic answer, is I don't want to go too directly into this. The Vanderbilt administration has to understand that step number one was acting like an SEC program. Vanderbilt did not act like an SEC program for the last 40 or 50 years. And the last 3 years or so, Vanderbilt has finally started committing to athletics. A lot of that credit to Candace Story-Lee, a lot of that credit to Daniel Diermeyer. They've finally started acting like an SEC program. That's step one. That's the baseline.
Mhm.
The extension of that, and it's going to contradict that a bit, is you cannot act like every other SEC program when you're communicating with fans, when you're communicating with media. You have the smallest fan base in the SEC by a factor of 20. I truly think that Vanderbilt's fan base is 1/20th the size of the next smallest SEC fan base. So you need to be encouraging every single bit of media coverage that you can possibly get. Encourage every single bit of casual fandom you can possibly get. And I'm not sure that the Vanderbilt administration understands that fully. You have to be different. You have not committed to athletics for 50 years, and you're in a gigantic hole. You have finally started partially acting like an SEC fan base, but now you need to do things a little differently. You need to encourage anyone that is looking to provide positive coverage on this program and these programs. You need to encourage them, reach out to them, get them covering this team. And I'm not sure that the admin has that mentality. I think they have the mentality of, we're an SEC program, we're going to act like an SEC program. And that's part of the answer. The part of the answer is you have to do more. You're in a 50-year hole. You're in a 40,000, 20,000, 30,000 student hole. You have to act different. You have to appeal to the common sidewalk fan in a different way than you do at every other school. You're not competing with a Tennessee Titans game on Sunday, the day after a Saturday game. You're not competing with a concert going on at Bridgestone. You're not competing with Broadway bars in Knoxville, in Lexington, in Fayetteville. You're just not competing with the amount of entertainment options you have. So you have to view things differently. Engage with the common fan. Don't condescend to them. And for years and years and years, the mentality of the Vanderbilt administration has been the focal point is condescension. And for lack of a better term, that just is what it is. They need to change their mentality or things are never going to change. But at the end of the day, you just got to win. If you win, butts will be in the seats.
Yeah.
Getting to the next question from Bex4VU. He has a couple questions here. He says, first, I wanted to talk/hear a little bit about Nick Rinaldi, former walk-on playing in his 5th season of football ever. IMO will be on the all-SEC teams by the season's end. What makes him special? First and foremost, he is sneaky athletic. Great white guy quote, sneaky athletic. But that does sound like an obvious stereotype and maybe even in bad taste. So I won't say it, but he is. I also won't mention the hard hat and lunch pail he brings every day because that goes without saying. Nor will I mention about his fundamentally sound and cerebral he is and how that makes him a true coach on the field, because that is a hackneyed take. But if I were to make that point, I'd add in how much of a glue guy he is, both on the field and in the locker room. He does come from a terrific family, so I guess none of that is a surprise. Anyway, I look forward to watching Rinaldi further develop this year. I think he's our best linebacker, and he's got an NFL future. What say you? That last sentence, I'm not so sure about. But the rest of it, I 100% agree with.
I think he's the best in coverage.
Best coverage linebacker, great third down linebacker. However, I'm not so sure he's the best linebacker they have. If Langston Patterson is healthy, Langston Patterson is the best linebacker, in my opinion. Bryce Cowan has the best athleticism. Brian Longwell is the most consistent. Nick Rinaldi is the best third down pass coverage linebacker. I think and Prince Colley is just a great depth piece. So, and a very athletic depth piece. So I think all these guys have their roles, but I would be lying if I said I thought Rinaldi was necessarily the best linebacker.
Well, and
I love Nick Rinaldi.
And he brings up a point that I think we've used towards Bryce Cowan, and I think it also applies to Nick Rinaldi, in that the linebacker room is so deep that Nick Rinaldi has an area carved out for him, being the third down pass coverage backer. But Langston and Brian have such a chokehold on every other down that it's like, if you're Nick Lazinski, you know he needs to be on the field. You know Bryce Cowan needs to be on the field, but like, how do you get them on the field whenever you have Brian Longwell and Langston Patterson? You know what I mean? It's a great problem to have. But I don't know how you do it, especially whenever you just play two backers most of the time. They have some three backer coverage, but really like that still leaves another man out. And it's how do you get them on the field whenever you have two really, really good backers in Brian and Langston?
Yeah. I brought that up in my fall camp storylines is Vanderbilt has crowded position rooms for the first time, linebacker mainly. How are they going to utilize those guys? Tight end is another example. How are they going to utilize those guys? There's actually an overflow of talent for the first time. And that's a good sign. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. That means you have depth. But at the same time, how are they going to rotate these guys? That's going to be very interesting to watch. Bex4VU had another comment here. He said, I'm getting the sense that On3 is not enthralled by our fun-sized fan base and the modest traffic/revenue we bring to the platform. Does it make it better for y'all if we post more often? So I responded to that initially and said, I'll partially answer this one before the pod. We love seeing y'all's posts and everyone's thought about Vandy and college athletics. We want to really grow the board into an awesome community, and we think that will happen during this football season. Yes. You guys posting, interacting, engaging, showing the engagement on the board does help us out. And yes, this is not about On3. I'm just going to make a basic statement that is not criticizing On3 at all. If you list out the subscriber numbers, engagement, all of that, and just put it in a spreadsheet with all other 15 SEC schools, Vanderbilt's not going to look great. I already made the comment about the size of Vanderbilt's fan base, so yes. Tell your friends to subscribe to thedoreport.com. We know the value that we provide to the Vanderbilt fan base. We know that we have created a great community here. Everyone listening to this is TDR. We want to keep being a part of the On3 network. We want to keep expanding our coverage, including attending fall camp like we will be tomorrow. But to do that, we need more fans to subscribe. There are so many people that listen to this podcast that do not subscribe to a premium membership. We understand money can be tight. We completely understand that. It's $11.99 a month or $99 a year. If you want to support TDR, that is the absolute best way you can support TDR and help us to continue doing what we're doing. We will always do this podcast. It doesn't matter if we're affiliated with the network, but yes, posting, subscribing, spreading the word, please help us out. We need more subscribers. It is what it is. You have anything to add on that one?
Yeah. Subscribe to thedoreport.com
Yeah.
where I'm gonna once again, we have a great team, wonderful selection of people. I'm gonna keep just flashing this guy out there. I think Alex Kerbigoff is the best in the business.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even if you don't like us, even if you're like, they don't really have much to say. If you want insightful, informative, inside knowledge, scoops, analysis, I don't think there's anybody better than Alex Kerbigoff.
Nope.
He's worth the $99 a year by himself.
Yep.
And that's something I'm willing to stand on.
Yeah, and just to pitch behind closed doors, our premium message board, if you actually want to talk Vanderbilt athletics in detail and not just get trolled by other fan bases and things, this is where you do it.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Subscribe
That's
to
a
the
great
Door Report,
point.
and we can actually have in-depth discussions about Vanderbilt without having some idiot on a burner account be like, who cares? Who cares? And just interrupting the conversation. So subscribe to thedoreport.com. Helps us out a ton, helps us support our great writers like Alex, like George, like Miller, everybody out there that helps us out. I would go Brian, Blake, Jalen, Jacob. Am I forgetting anybody there?
No.
Okay. Help support all of this. So subscribe to thedoreport.com. We have a couple more questions here from Vandy Lance 25. Says 2 questions. 1, piggybacking off the attendance question. Give me an attendance prediction for game 1. I think it will be disappointing to Vanderbilt fans.
I'll go 25,000.
I think Vanderbilt fans will be disappointed. I am excited. I think it's going to be a great, fun environment. The tailgate's going to be fun. But I think Vanderbilt fans are overestimating how many casuals are going to be drawn in with 7-6 season. I think they need to show success a little bit more. If they win the first couple games of the season, that place is going to be packed after that. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope the place is packed out. We'll see if Vanderbilt and the admin continues what they did last year, inviting local football teams to the games, giving them free tickets. That was a great
That was a
thing they did
great
last year.
idea.
Keep that up. And I hope they don't abandon that because they've smelled a little success. You need to keep reaching out to the community because 1-7-6 season is not going to turn around 50 plus years of essentially dog shit football with a few years thrown in that weren't. So I know Vanderbilt fans don't like to hear that, but I'm a little pessimistic about what game one attendance is going to look like. I don't think it's going to be atrocious or embarrassing or anything like that, but I don't see the place packed out in black and gold. Just frankly.
What number? Do you have a number in mind? I'm going to go 25,000.
Yeah, I'd say like 20,000 or so in black and gold. That's kind of my guess here. It'll be a lot more than a normal FCS opening game would be, but it's not going to be a true SEC environment like I think Vanderbilt fans are hoping.
I know Section F will be, though.
Section F will
Section
be,
you can bet your bottom dollar Section F will be packed out.
Number 2, what game are you most excited about for this season? One stipulation. It has to be one that you are planning to attend.
I'll give you 2. I'll give you one home and I'll give you one road. Home, I'm going to go when LSU comes to town. I think I posted this on the board whenever we were doing our Monday night chit chat. Somebody asked about this. I think that Vanderbilt, I don't think it's unreasonable to expect Vanderbilt to possibly pull off an upset against LSU. I'll give you a reason why, a couple of reasons why. Last year, Vanderbilt went to Baton Rouge, a night game, played them a one-possession game. LSU has to come to Vanderbilt this year. It's a trap game. In between, I forget what their schedule is, but they play Vanderbilt in between, I believe, Texas A&M and Georgia. So Vanderbilt's kind of situated right there in the middle of that trap game. Also, too, I think if Vanderbilt's defensive front can take a step forward like we expect them to.
They're sandwiched between South Carolina and Texas A&M.
South Carolina and Texas A&M, I apologize. Which, depending on how South Carolina and Texas A&M season goes, those very well could be trap games or big games for them, and Vanderbilt be a trap game. I think if Vanderbilt's defensive front can take a step forward like we expect them to, I think they can be much improved. Additionally, I think that LSU's offensive line is going to be subpar at best. I think they're very, very, very weak at offensive line, and I think Vanderbilt could be able to capitalize on that. It could be able to give Garrett Nussmeier trouble. So I'm very excited about that game on the road. I will be in Neyland attending the Vanderbilt-Tennessee game. Very excited about that. Always a fun time going to it's not always a fun time going to Neyland, actually. But I will be looking forward to going to Neyland.
So mine's going to be a dumb answer, but it is a truthful answer. Georgia State at Vanderbilt.
Ooh.
I was in attendance at that game last season. I will say I have very rarely, I won't say never been as demoralized as I was, because that's not true. I was about as demoralized as I can possibly be walking out of that damn stadium in Atlanta. So
the baseball field.
I am excited for Vanderbilt to exercise some demons. I stated on SEC Unfiltered last night. I think Vanderbilt is going to beat them by 30 plus. I'm excited to celebrate the death of Georgia State. So that's my number one, and it's by far number one. The game that I am most excited about outside of that one, I would say excited / nervous, is Auburn. It's homecoming for Vanderbilt. It can pretty much put the nail in Hugh Freeze's coffin, and I think it will be a huge game late in the season for Vanderbilt at home that they need that win. So I'm nervous / excited about that one, but most excited about for me is Georgia State. Last question from the premium message board members from Logan D. Shaw says, would you rather Vanderbilt football make the playoffs this season or reach our first Final Four in men's basketball, beating Tennessee in the Elite Eight? Ooh, that was a good addition, but still Vanderbilt making the playoff for me. It's not even close.
Ooh.
Look, and I'll give my reason while you think on it and rub your eyes. Vanderbilt making the Final Four is a thing that has never happened. Obviously, a very high level to achieve. I think that is a possibility that if they get the right cohesion of talent can happen throughout my life at some point. If they get hot at the right time, the NCAA tournament is what it is. NC State made it as an 11 seed at one point with DJ Burns. I think it is a possibility that Vanderbilt can do that. And you added in the Tennessee caveat in the Elite Eight, so that makes it a little tougher. Vanderbilt making the college football playoff would change everything. everything. It would change everything about how the Door Report is viewed, how our coverage access is, our subscriber numbers, the Vanderbilt fan base would change. Everything would change for Vanderbilt athletics if Vanderbilt football made a run like that. So I'm going to Vanderbilt College Football Playoff, and for me, it's not even close.
I will go the playoff. Also because I'm just going to infer that if Vanderbilt makes the playoff, they also beat Tennessee in the regular season. So the beating Tennessee in the Elite Eight is what made it tough.
We're football guys. Like we love all sports. Trevor loves baseball more than I do. We both love basketball. But number one, we're in the SEC. We're football guys. So for me, anything associated with a football achievement is going to be head and shoulders above any other sport. So
but the beating Tennessee part in the Elite Eight, that's
I like that.
I would go, dude. You want a hot take? You want a crazy hot take? This might get me canceled by Vandy fans. I would rather Vanderbilt go, and I fully believe this. I would rather Vanderbilt go 1-11 with that one win against Tennessee than go 15-1 winning the national title with that one loss to Tennessee.
You don't mean that.
Look at me. You know me. You know me, Will. You know me, Will.
You might be telling the truth of what you think. But
you know me, Will.
But objectively, I know it's your opinion, and you cannot tell people that opinions are necessarily wrong because it is their opinion. I will state that is a wrong opinion. And I think a lot of Vanderbilt fans would agree.
No, I understand. That's why it's a hot take.
Yeah,
I know that I would be in the minority.
That's a scorching hot take. But yeah. Anything else you want to add here on episode 326?
No.
All right, I got a big editing job in front of me. All right, for myself, Will Byram, my co-host Trevor Hewlin, this has been episode 326 of The Door Report, powered by 615 Collectibles.